The day I found out I was pregnant, I asked Leo for a divorce, just because I celebrated my assistant's birthday with her. He raised an eyebrow. Yes, fine. He took the agreement and signed his name without a second thought. I won't agree to a reconciliation within 3 months. Don't come crying and begging me then. We had been together for 7 years. He knew that 3 months was the longest I could endure a Cold War. He was even more certain that I, his devoted follower, couldn't live without him. But he didn't know. I had already scheduled the surgery and bought a small apartment in a northern city over 1,000 kilometers away. My mother used to say that an unfaithful man is worse than a dog. This time, I wasn't going back. I put the signed divorce agreement into a file folder and was about to turn and leave. Leo spoke calmly. I'll give you one more chance, Olivia. Marriage is not a game. I looked back at him. I'm serious. You always say you're serious. He chuckled and shook his head. You've even pulled the divorce agreement stunt. What are you planning for next time? The soft light of the crystal chandelier enveloped Leo. He tapped his fingers on the table, relaxed and confident. There won't be a next time, I replied peacefully. His fingers paused. Leo seemed to want to say something more, but a sudden clap of thunder flashed outside the window, and the phone on the table lit up. The screen flashed with the name, Chloe. I gave a sarcastic look, but Leo just shrugged and put the call on speaker. As soon as the call connected, a young woman's tearful voice came from the other end. Mr. Hayes, it's pouring. I'm stuck at the office and can't get a taxi. It's thundering outside. I'm so scared. Leo didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked up at me. In the past, I would have snatched the phone and yelled at her, and warned Leo not to go pick her up. But now, with the divorce agreement in my hand, I actually felt a sense of relief. After a moment of strange silence, Chloe seemed to have sensed something was off. She asked timidly, Is Mrs. Hayes there? Before anyone could answer, she quickly explained, I don't mean anything by it. It's raining so hard. It would be inconvenient for you to pick me up, Mr. Hayes. I was just hoping to stay in the CEO's office for the night. If it makes Mrs. Hayes unhappy, I can explain to her. I promise I won't mess up your room. Mrs. Hayes, are you listening? I couldn't help it. I stepped forward and took the phone. Chloe, if I remember correctly, your position is assistant to the CEO. The girl on the other end of the line seemed startled and stammered yes. So, as an assistant, when you encounter extreme weather while working overtime, your first reaction is to call your superior and cry that you're scared. I asked in a soft voice. You can't get a taxi and can't go home. The company clearly has an employee lounge, but your solution is to ask to stay in the CEO's private bedroom. Is that right? Chloe fell silent. Your work ethic is terrible, and your sense of boundaries is even worse. Calling a married male superior at this hour to act cute. Did your parents not teach you what decency is? I glanced at the clock. It was already 11 p.m. She had just passed her 3-month probation. Leo was always lenient with his employees. There was no reason for her to be working this late, even if she really couldn't go home. There were folding beds and toiletries in the employee lounge, but Chloe's first thought was to ask to stay in the CEO's office, where there was a small bedroom Leo used when he was working on projects late. I would occasionally stay there with him, and my toiletries and pajamas were there. How could she have the audacity to say she wanted to sleep there? Not to mention the countless other small incidents that had been a thorn in my side. Even though I was prepared, I was still so angry my chest heaved. I'm sorry, Mrs. Hayes. I was being thoughtless. Please don't fight with Mr. Hayes because of this. He's been busy with work lately and isn't feeling well. Chloe burst into tears. She cried like a child but knew not to hang up. Her sobbing was irritating. That's enough. Leo stood up, snatched the phone back, and quickly said a few soothing words to the other end. She's just a young girl who just graduated. She doesn't know any better. Why are you losing your temper with her? He frowned at me, completely oblivious to Chloe's little tricks. Such a clumsy ploy. Was he really so clueless? Or was he enjoying it? The anger that had been churning in my chest suddenly calmed. I looked at Leo and felt that everything was utterly meaningless. The rain fell all night. The next morning, as soon as I opened my phone, I saw a social media post from my best friend, Ava. The ID was, CEO's exclusive little assistant, and it had been posted an hour ago. A private car service on a rainy day. A revitalizing breakfast after a low mood. Guess whose fairy tale CEO this is? The first picture was a selfie of Chloe in the back of a Maybach. The second showed her holding a Starbucks coffee, giving a subtle toast to Leo, who was working in the distance. A small heart was drawn on the cup sleeve. I was taken aback. Leo hadn't gone out last night. It seemed he had sent the family driver to pick her up. My phone vibrated again. Ava called directly. Olivia, who is this little green tea bitch, daring to fantasize about your man? Does Leo know he's being played? Fire her immediately. I'm getting second-hand embarrassment from all the Mrs. CEO comments in the comment section. I opened the account's homepage. With only a dozen posts, it already had nearly 300,000 followers. It documented the daily interactions between a clumsy little assistant and a domineering CEO, every word dripping with ambiguous pink bubbles. The fans were going crazy in the comments, urging them to get married. Ava was still ranting. This little green tea bitch is quite the storyteller. Everyone knows that iceberg Leo only shows a bit of life around you. How could he possibly go out of his way to remember her period? And that sapphire necklace. Isn't that your favorite jewelry brand? Ava's voice grew quieter. After a long pause, she asked softly, Olivia, are you crying? I covered the mouthpiece and sniffled hard. No, it was raining last night. I have a bit of a cold. Let's not talk about this. When are you coming back to the city? I want to go with you. Ava was silent for a moment, then said, Did Leo fight with you over that woman? He didn't fight with me. I looked out the window at the gloomy sky. The glass was still wet from the night before, the lingering water droplets blurring the view outside. It's just that it's rained too much in this city. I don't want to stay here anymore. Last night, when Leo signed the divorce papers, he didn't hesitate for a second. What was there for me to hold on to? I also told Ava about the pregnancy. She shrieked with excitement on the other end of the phone, insisting that I meet her. But when I got to the restaurant we had agreed on, she was still stuck in traffic. Leo and I used to come to this private kitchen often. The staff were all familiar faces. As soon as the head waiter saw me, he expertly led me towards a private room. Mr. Hayes has been here for a while. Please watch your step. Leo was here too. I stopped in my tracks. Familiar laughter came from the private room. I remember this place used to have a seasonal dish that Olivia would always nag you to bring her to eat. Why didn't you invite her today? It was the voice of the vice president. Mr. Miller, she's throwing a tantrum. Don't worry about her. Leo's voice was as cold as ever. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have called Mr. Hayes so late at night. A sweet, feminine voice chimed in. Chloe was here too. Just because of a phone call. Another vice president clicked his tongue. Olivia's temper is really getting worse year by year. Leo, don't get me wrong, but she chased you for so long, and now that she has you, she doesn't cherish it. She's so dramatic. Did Olivia chase Mr. Hayes? Chloe suddenly interjected, her voice filled with unconcealable delight. I thought. Her tone shifted, and she sighed softly. Sigh. Mr. Hayes is so good to Olivia. He's so busy he barely has time to eat, but he still celebrates every little occasion with her. If something small doesn't go her way, she throws a fit. It breaks my heart to see. The room fell silent for 2 seconds. Then everyone started to jeer. See, your wife isn't as considerate as Assistant Chloe. Women, they all turn into shrews when they get older. No young girl knows how to be so caring. My heart went cold as I listened. These men were friends who had built the company with Leo. In the early days of the startup, I had paid for their equipment out of my own pocket, ordered fruit for them in the summer, and sent them late night snacks in the winter. They used to call me sister-in-law, so affectionately, but behind my back, this is what they were like. I didn't want to listen anymore. I turned to leave, but I accidentally bumped into a waitress who was about to serve a dish. She cried out in surprise. The seasonal seafood she was carrying spilled all over the floor. The laughter stopped abruptly, and the door to the private room opened. Sister-in-law. The vice presidents exchanged glances. I looked up and saw Leo sitting at the head of the table. Chloe was right next to him. Like a hostess, the head waiter rushed over to clean up the mess. Fortunately, the young waitress wasn't burned. I apologized to her. She blushed and shook her head, saying it was okay, then went back to work. All the while, Leo's eyes were on me. Mr. Miller came over with a sheepish smile. Sister-in-law, when did you get here? Why didn't you come in? 15 minutes ago. My face was expressionless. You guys continue. Oh, this is all a misunderstanding. Leo, what are you waiting for? Come and talk to. The men had awkward smiles on their faces and all stood up to persuade me to sit down. Chloe suddenly pushed her chair back and stood up, pouring herself a glass of white wine. Sister-in-law, don't overthink it. They didn't mean it like that. Her fingers trembled slightly as she raised the glass. Today is my first day after my probation period. Mr. Hayes invited a few of the vice presidents to celebrate with me. I was a little emotional and complained a bit. It's all my fault. Please don't be angry with Mr. Hayes anymore. I'll apologize with this drink. Chloe downed the glass of white wine in one gulp, then choked, her face turning red, and tears welled up in her eyes. Leo, at her side, frowned slightly and handed her a tissue. I sneered. You've said your piece, and now you've managed to pin a huge blame on me. Chloe looked up, her expression a mixture of fragility and defiance. After graduation, I came to this big city alone. I have no family or friends here. Mr. Hayes is the only person I can trust and rely on. Last night, it was raining so hard, I panicked for a moment. That's why I called him. You said I have no sense of boundaries, and I accept that, but you also insulted my parents. I really can't accept that. She choked up. At her words, the vice president's expressions changed slightly, and they looked at me with a hint of disapproval. I was so angry I almost laughed. I was about to retort, when Leo suddenly spoke. Olivia didn't insult anyone. He looked at Chloe and said in a heavy tone, let's not dwell on this. It's in the past. Chloe could only nod meekly. She then mustered her courage, poured 2 more glasses of wine, and walked over to me. Sister-in-law, let me toast you again. Can you forgive me? This time, Leo didn't stop her. He knew I could hold my liquor, but I was pregnant. Whether this child would come into the world or not, I didn't want to harm my body in this way. I took the glass, and with a flick of my wrist, I poured the contents onto the floor. Everyone at the table was shocked. Chloe was on the verge of tears and turned to Leo for help. The next second, a loud slap landed squarely on her face. You've got some nerve, don't you? You've got a whole room of men wrapped around your little finger, thinking you can bully my Olivia because she has no one to back her up. A warm, rosy scent filled the air beside me. Ava had arrived. Before anyone in the room could react, she scanned the room, her gaze settling on Leo. Leo, are you just going to stand there and watch this little green tea bitch walk all over Olivia? Do you know that Olivia can't drink right now? Leo looked at me, his face a mixture of confusion and shock. What's wrong with her? None of your business. Just take care of your little assistant. I pulled the indignant Ava away, leaving the bewildered group behind, and walked out of the private room. Olivia, your fighting skills have really gone downhill. In college, you used to handle all of Leo's admirers with ease. Why were you so pathetic today? Ava took a large gulp of her milk tea, fanning her chest in anger. Besides, you're carrying his child. What are you afraid of? You should have given her a good beating. I gently patted Ava's back and said softly, last night, I asked Leo for a divorce. He agreed, so I'm not planning on keeping this child. I want to move to the city. The series of bombshells made Ava choke on her milk tea. After she finally calmed down, she fell silent. Olivia, 7 years of your life, can you really let it go? Ava asked softly. I knew she wasn't trying to defend Leo. She was just afraid I would regret it, that I would be heartbroken. After all, I had loved Leo for 7 years. He had become a part of my life. I looked at the little girl holding a balloon in the distance, lost in thought. I had asked myself this question countless times these past few days, until just now, something Ava said suddenly clicked. She said I used to handle all of Leo's admirers with ease, but I've never been a strong person. I would even cry after arguing with my roommates. I was never good at these catfights over men. All along, all I had to do was tell Leo the first was jealous, and he would proactively distance himself from the girls who clung to him. It had never been as ugly as it was today. This time, he was willing to sign the divorce papers rather than transfer Chloe. I knew then that our relationship was over. The first time I saw Leo, it was quite a dramatic scene. My roommate and his roommate were a couple, but the guy was caught cheating. The next day, my roommate dragged us along to confront the cheater. Coincidentally, Leo was there. The cheater was stammering, trying to get Leo to vouch for him that he had been in the dorm all night. But after Leo heard the whole story, his face instantly turned cold. I can't help you. Being faithful to your partner is the bottom line in a relationship. The young man's voice was clear and cold. He was wearing a faded plaid shirt, faced with my roommate's sarcasm and threats. His eyes were as firm as if he were defending some precious truth. In that moment, my heart skipped a beat. Yes, my criteria for a partner was simple. Loyalty, the most basic, yet the most rare. Ever since I can remember, my parents have been fighting about this. My father was a handsome man, a playboy of his time. He would often spend all night at dance halls, coming home with bright red lipstick stains on his collar. My mother loved him, and she hated him. She even held a knife to her throat to stop him from seeing those other women. But every time, my father would just sweet-talk her for a few days, then go back to his nightlife. Finally, the string in my mother's mind, the one called reason, snapped. On the winter solstice, she put on bright lipstick, wore her favorite dress, and held me for the last time. Olivia, don't find a man like your father in the future. Then she jumped from the roof of the dance hall without looking back, a beautiful flower blooming in the snow. I dreamed of this scene on countless nights, and I rejected one suitor after another, until I met Leo that year. I thought, he's different from my father. At first, Leo was not interested in me at all. People also told me he was the famous iceberg of the physics department, that they had never seen him be flirty with anyone, but the more they said that, the more determined I was to win him over. He had a bad stomach, so I would wait for him at the boys' dorm at the crack of dawn with breakfast. He loved to read philosophy, so I would go to the library and borrow the books he had read, occasionally posting book reviews on social media that were only visible to him. He loved indie bands, so I would cross half the city to find out of production records and then, casually, give them to him as a birthday present. And so it went until the winter of our sophomore year. As usual, I was waiting for him at the boys' dorm with a hot bun, ready to go to class together. He walked up, saw my red nose and ears from the cold, and suddenly sighed softly. He took off his scarf and wrapped it around me. Olivia, love yourself first, then love others. I buried my face in his scarf, my eyes crinkling with a smile. Of course I loved myself. That's why I had carefully chosen a partner for myself. From then on, Leo really did have eyes and heart only for me for 7 years, until Chloe appeared. One day in July, Leo came home very late from work. He said his car had been scratched and he had taken it to be serviced. I asked him what happened, if he was hurt. He shook his head and pulled me into his arms, saying something interesting had happened that day. It turned out that the HR department had rejected a recent graduate, a young woman, but she refused to give up. She took her resume and blocked his car in the underground parking lot to fight for a chance, and almost got hit. I frowned as I listened, about to say how dangerous that was, but then I saw Leo, lost in thought, a smile on his face that he didn't even realize was there. I suddenly felt a strange sense of panic, and what happened next confirmed it. Was it the cartoon emojis that suddenly appeared in his texts? Or was it because he was 2 hours late for my birthday? Or was it that even though my period wasn't due, he would ask the housekeeper to make all sorts of nourishing soups and bring them to the company in a thermos? And that necklace, it was supposed to be my anniversary gift, but he had also ordered one for Chloe. There were too many things. In these 3 months, we had fought countless times because of Chloe. He said Chloe reminded him of himself when he was younger. Although she came from a poor family, she had a certain resilience. When he talked about her faded canvas shoes, a look of pity would cross his eyes. He said he was just mentoring her as a junior, but he kept crossing the line, trampling on my dignity. Just 2 days ago, during a big fight, I smashed the little pig figurine that Chloe had given him. Leo's face turned cold, and he slammed the door and left without looking back. I cried my eyes out. When I went to the mirror to wash my face, I was horrified to see that my expression was exactly the same as my mother's back then. My face was a mixture of resentment and bitterness, ugly and distorted. In that moment, I knew I had to leave. I booked a flight to the city with Ava and went home to pack. When I opened the door, I found Chloe there. She flinched for a moment when she saw me, then she immediately straightened her back. Olivia, I'm here to help Mr. Hayes pack. Mr. Hayes is taking me on a business trip to East City. After saying this, Chloe watched my movements warily, as if she was scared of being slapped by Ava again. I ignored her and went straight to the bedroom. Leo was inside, looking for clothes. Ties and shirts were scattered all over the bed. When he saw me come in, he pursed his lips and asked casually, "Were you not feeling well yesterday? Did your period come early?" I gave a sarcastic smile. "We're already divorced. You don't need to worry about me." I walked around the clutter on the floor, opened a drawer, and started to pack. Leo crossed his arms and followed me with a probing gaze. After observing my movements for a while, he suddenly chuckled. "You know I'm going on a business trip to East City. So worried. Tell me, when are you planning to secretly follow me? I'll have Chloe change her ticket, and we can all go together." I ignored him and reached for the suitcase on top of the wardrobe. Leo came over to help me. I tried to keep my distance, but he pulled me into his arms. "Stop making a scene. You've already hit her. Haven't you vented your anger enough?" he whispered in my ear. This was a classic Leo move. I frowned and was about to push him away. Suddenly, Chloe's voice came from the doorway. "Mr. Hayes, I'm a little thirsty. Can I go downstairs to buy a bottle of water?" Leo paused and looked at her. "There's water in the fridge. You can get it yourself." But Chloe shook her head frantically, still with that timid look. "Olivia probably wouldn't like me touching things." I'd better go to the convenience store downstairs. I laughed. Since you know I don't like it, why did you come here? To deliberately annoy me. Sensing the hostility in my words, Chloe's eyes turned red, and she pulled her hand back from the doorframe. Leo's voice dropped. I asked her to come. It's more convenient to go to the airport together later. He turned to Chloe and said in a gentle voice, "You're not familiar with this area. Don't wander around. It's okay to get water from the fridge." Chloe nodded, looking aggrieved, and left. As soon as she was gone, Leo looked into my eyes and said seriously, "I don't understand. You can be so tolerant and considerate towards the waitress at the restaurant, but why are you targeting Chloe? She's only in her early 20s. It's normal for her to make mistakes." I smirked. Because I'm a petty and jealous woman. I see a female assistant next to my husband, and I get so jealous I threaten him with divorce. Do you understand now? Are you satisfied? Leo took a step back, his brow deeply furrowed, as if he was very disappointed in me. If you're going to be like this, then don't come with me to East City. Who said I was going with you? I sneered. Then where are you packing to go? I ignored him and turned to continue looking for clothes, but as soon as I opened the wardrobe, the scent of orange blossom hit me. I couldn't help but gag. The aromatherapy in the wardrobe had been replaced with my most hated orange blossom scent. The same scent as Chloe. Leo didn't react. He came over and saw my pale face, his tone softening slightly. Are you really not feeling well? Have you been to the hospital? I shook my head. It's just a stomach bug. He touched my forehead and was about to say something more. Chloe knocked on the door again. Mr. Hayes, we should leave now, or we'll miss our flight. Leo glanced at the time, hesitated for a moment, then helped me sit down on the bed. He said in a soft voice, "Have the housekeeper make you something light to eat these few days. When I get back, I'll bring you some butterfly pastries from East City." He gently kissed my hair, just like he used to, as if the argument just now had been completely forgotten, and I would be waiting for him at home. As usual, after arriving in East City, Leo seemed to be trying to make peace. He would send me his itinerary on time every day, asking about my health, just like before. I didn't reply. I almost wanted to laugh. He didn't need to tell me these things. Chloe's posts were updated very frequently. Golf clubs, private ski resorts, yacht clubs, auctions. Wherever Leo went, she followed. Work-related trips were confidential, so she posted about her leisure activities. The glamorous high society lifestyle brought Chloe a flood of traffic and attention. There was even a top comment asking when she and the CEO were planning to have a baby, so they could plan their reincarnation. Chloe replied with a shy emoji and pinned the comment. The post was soon seen by people in their circle, and the blurry profile of Leo in the photo was also recognized. Different voices began to appear in the comment section. "This is the CEO of Apex Tech. I remember his wife was his college classmate. They got married right after graduation. Damn, so the blogger is a homewrecker. I've been shipping them for so long. Ugh. Unfollowed. You've dirted my feed. Why is everyone attacking the woman? Let me say a few words about the man. Cheating men are all rotten." Similar comments became more and more frequent. Chloe couldn't delete them fast enough, so she had to hide the post and set her account to private. But the topic had already spread. Someone started a dedicated thread to analyze whether the CEO's exclusive little assistant was a knowing third party. I was about to scroll past, but then I thought about it and went back to buy a boost for the post. A little more drama wouldn't hurt. I quite enjoy watching a good show. A dull ache started in my lower abdomen. I put down my phone and took a sip of the Angelica and black chicken soup that Ava had brought me. The day after I flew to the city, I had surgery at a private hospital. The doctor said I was a bit anemic and suggested I stay in the hospital for a few days to recover, so I ended up staying for a week. There was no heartbroken breakdown as I had imagined. After I woke up from the surgery, I was so calm it scared me. The baby was still very small, just a 40-day-old embryo. I was glad I hadn't brought him into this world. Children of unloving parents are like plants that don't get enough sunlight. They always have a harder time growing up. A bitter, medicinal taste spread in my mouth. Ava's family's housekeeper was a great cook. I finished the soup in one go and started reading the share transfer agreement. As expected, Leo would be contacting me soon. I didn't expect him to come find me directly. Just after I got off the phone with Ava, who had tipped me off, a travel-worn figure appeared outside my hospital room. Leo's face was ashen. He stared blankly at me, lying in the hospital bed. After a long pause, his lips moved, and he asked in a hoarse voice, "Why, are you in the obstetrics and gynecology department?" "I had a small surgery," I replied calmly. "It's what you think it is." He staggered, almost falling. The passing nurses all looked at the tall man with curiosity. I sighed. Come in and close the door. I have something to tell you. Leo walked to my bedside in a daze. Looking closer, I saw that his chin was covered in stubble, and there were faint dark circles under his eyes. His shirt was unirond, the collar wrinkled. It looked like he had taken an early morning flight to get here. I averted my gaze and handed him a document. The divorce was too hasty. We didn't handle the property division properly. Apex is your life's work. I don't want any shares. Just give me 30 million in cash. And I want half of the real estate, funds, and insurance. Leo flipped through the document without looking up, his hands gradually trembling. He looked at me with disbelief. When did you handle all this? I smiled without a sound. While you were taking your exclusive little assistant around to see the world, helping her with her pregnancy preparations. Leo frowned and quickly explained. If it's because of that account, I've already had my team contact a PR firm. The news will be suppressed, and the account will be deleted immediately. It won't have a big impact. Chloe, he paused. Chloe will be transferred to a branch office in another city. She will no longer be my assistant. She said social media is her side hustle. She was just momentarily blinded by the desire for traffic and wrote those things. None of it is true. Leo's words came out faster and faster. He looked at me in pain, his trembling hand reaching out, wanting to touch my lower abdomen. Olivia, it's been 7 years. Why do we have to end up like this? Why? I coldly slapped his hand away. At this point, you still think you've done nothing wrong, don't you? Leo was taken aback. Then he suppressed his anger and roared. What did I do wrong? Chloe and I have never crossed the line outside of work. I've never done anything to betray you. Pfft. I clutched my stomach, laughing so hard I almost cried. So remembering your assistance period, giving her a necklace worth over $1 million for her birthday, being inseparable from her on business trips, and even drinking from the same glass, that's all just work. Our CEO is so humane. I applauded softly, offering my sincere praise. Leo's face turned from ashen to white. He pursed his lips and, after a long pause, finally explained. I just saw my old self in her. You don't understand. I was like that back then, too. Poor and ostracized, struggling to find a job, having to grit my teeth and get through everything on my own. I understand. I interrupted him and closed my eyes. In the end, I still couldn't stop my voice from trembling. I was the one who walked with you through all that. Have you forgotten, Leo, those insecure, bitter, and confusing years of our youth? I had carefully protected his fragile pride, falling off an electric scooter in the rain and getting covered in mud. It didn't matter. Saving up for a long time to buy him a discounted suit made me happier than buying 100 dresses for myself. Having to eat at a street stall for our anniversary, he was so guilty he teared up, saying he would make it up to me in the future. I smiled and raised a toast to a stray dog, shouting that we were going to be rich. I was the one who accompanied him from a rented apartment to a wider world, and he couldn't wait to take the fruits of our labor and give them to another girl. Do you know why I don't like to celebrate my birthday alone? Leo was taken aback, not understanding why I had suddenly changed the subject. Because every year on my birthday, I dream of the day my mom committed suicide. She was driven mad by my dad's affairs and would rather die than leave me. I fiddled with the clean white sheets and said softly, and this year on my birthday, you also abandoned me, just to help Chloe fix her broken computer. Leo still wanted to explain. I shook my head and looked him in the eye. You said it yourself. Being faithful to your partner is the bottom line in a relationship. The bullet from 7 years ago hit him right between the eyes. Leo clutched his hair in agony. I can't make the same mistake again. This marriage is over. You can go now. Leo refused to leave. Ava cursed at him with many ugly words and even slapped him twice. But the next day, he would be back outside the hospital room like clockwork, bringing more expensive supplements, as well as my favorite butterfly pastries and irises. I didn't touch them and returned them unopened. This went on until the day before I was discharged. Mr. Miller suddenly called. He said that the Chloe incident had been exploited by a competitor, and the public opinion was getting worse. Apex's stock price had plummeted. I was worried that my shares would depreciate too much, so I called Leo over and told him to go back and deal with the company's affairs first. I'll go back too. Leo's eyes lit up, but I won't attend the press conference, and I certainly won't help you clarify anything. You made this mess yourself. You clean it up. Just now, when Mr. Miller called, besides wanting me to persuade Leo to come back, he had also made a request. The shareholders hoped that Leo and I could hold a press conference together to clarify the rumors of infidelity during the marriage. After all, nothing substantial happened. At least give Leo a chance. You two have been together for so many years. How many people has he turned down for you? If he really wanted to do something, he would have done it long ago. This time, it was assistant Chloe who was young and foolish. You're the bigger person, don't hold it against her. Apex only recognizes you as the boss's wife. Okay, I laughed. Mr. Miller, I'm not considerate. I'm also an old shrew. I can't help you with this. Also, Leo and I are already divorced. Whoever wants to be the boss's wife of Apex can have it. Mr. Miller fell silent. I hung up the phone decisively. I took a deep breath. One last trip back. There was still one thing I had to do. I had planned to travel separately from Leo, but he had checked the flights and followed me to the airport like a ghost. I couldn't be bothered with him and slept with my sunglasses on the whole way. He was also very considerate and followed me from a distance, not disturbing me. We didn't speak a word, and so we arrived at the doorstep of our home. Chloe, who had somehow gotten the news, was waiting for us there. She had lost a lot of weight in just a few days. She was dressed in a student-like outfit, with no makeup on, a stark contrast to the confident and glamorous woman in the designer dress from last time. As soon as she saw Leo, her eyes turned red with grievance. Mr. Hayes, the HR department has suspended me. They even threw out all my things. Leo's face was cold. I arranged it. You can report to the branch office next month, but I'm your assistant. Chloe still wanted to fight. You should know what you did wrong. Suspension and transfer are the lightest punishments. Leo's tone was harsh. He walked straight past her, trying to lead me into the house. Chloe's eyes were red as she chased after him. But I just posted a few things. Which girl doesn't fantasize about a domineering CEO falling in love with her? She burst into tears. I admit there were fabricated parts, but you need a topic to get traffic in social media. Mr. Hayes, you know my parents are both disabled, and I have a younger brother in school. They're all waiting for me to send money back home. I'm under a lot of pressure. That's why I tried to increase my income this way. Mr. Hayes, please give me another chance. Chloe reached out and grabbed Leo's sleeve, her tears streaming down her face like a pear blossom in the rain. What a great sob story. I crossed my arms and watched with interest, including the necklace. Chloe had received gifts and bonuses worth at least $2 million from Leo in the few months she had been working there, not to mention the designer dresses for banquets, VIP cards for private clubs, and so on. I had investigated. Her parents' health was indeed not good, but they were honest, hard-working people, not the type to leech off their daughter. Chloe was so anxious because she was reluctant to give up her current lifestyle. Leo seemed to have realized this too. He disgustedly shook off Chloe's hand. That's enough. If you don't leave, I'm calling security. Chloe was still crying and trying to explain. I didn't expect that post to get so much traffic. Someone must have been pushing it from behind. She seemed to have found a breakthrough and looked at me with red eyes. Sister-in-law, was it you? I know you don't like me, but Apex is Mr. Hayes' life's work. How could you do this just to vent your anger? Shut up, Leo roared. Stop trying to blame Olivia. You're not the one to talk about how she is with Apex. Chloe smiled through her tears. Mr. Hayes, don't you understand by now? Look at her, so high and mighty. Besides demanding emotional support from you, spending your money, and sucking your blood, has she ever cared about your health? Does she know how hard you've worked to build everything from scratch? While you were working day and night for the company, barely having time to eat, she was living like a queen at home, throwing tantrums and fighting with you over the smallest things. What has she ever done for you? A person like that doesn't deserve to be with you. Chloe's face was distorted, her eyes full of hatred for me. I suddenly felt a sense of relief. I raised my hand and slapped her hard across the face. It seems you didn't learn your lesson last time. When I was going through hardships with Leo, you were probably still dreaming of a fairy tale ending somewhere. What right do you have to say I don't deserve him? You fool. The security guards, who had been alerted, dragged Chloe away. She cried out Leo's name over and over again, but she never got a response. Leo held a press conference alone, apologizing to his supporters and announcing that he would be taking a short leave of absence, which would not affect the company's normal operations. Thanks to his sincere attitude and the launch of a corporate charity fund to divert attention, he managed to stop the losses in time. After Chloe's scene that day, Leo directly cancelled her transfer to the branch office. She didn't give up and tried the same trick again, blocking his car in the underground garage. But that day, it was Mr. Miller who was driving. He couldn't brake in time and hit Chloe, sending her to the hospital. Chloe cried and screamed in the hospital, demanding to see Leo. Her antics were filmed by a bystander and posted online, leading to another wave of ridicule. I was scrolling through the video when I had already finalized the transfer of my shares and the division of property. The day before I returned to the city, I went to see my mother. My mother's grave was well tended, with a bouquet of purple irises and her favorite green bean cakes. My face was expressionless. I threw the flowers and cakes into a plastic bag and replaced them with the ones I had bought. Mom, I won't be able to help you throw away the things he brings anymore. Just pretend you don't see them. Okay. I caressed the smiling face in the photo and said softly, these were all from Adrian, my biological father. After my mother jumped, everyone thought he would remarry quickly, but Adrian seemed to have changed completely. After my mother's funeral, he sat at home in a daze for 3 days and nights and shaved his head. From then on, he stopped going to dance halls, stopped flirting with other women, and spent his days drinking himself into a stupor, crying while holding my mother's photo when he was sober. Whenever the old woman next door mentioned him, she would shake her head and sigh. He didn't cherish her when she was alive. What's the use of crying now? Yes, what's the use? If you have to use the pain of separation to judge the depth of love, then such a relationship is nothing but mutual torment. It started to drizzle as I was coming down the mountain. Autumn was just around the corner, and the air was getting a little chilly. I saw Leo from a distance, standing under a sign with an umbrella. I don't know how long he had been waiting. When he saw me, he quickly ran over, tilting the umbrella towards me, and pulled out a bag of hot chestnuts from his coat. I saw them selling them on the side of the road and got you a bag. I remember you always craved sugar, fried chestnuts every autumn. He carefully handed the bag to me like a treasure. The sweet, roasted aroma wafted up. I didn't take it. I just stared at his shoulder, which was gradually getting wet from the rain. Leo, I said, do you still remember the morning we got together? He was taken aback. Then his face lit up with a hint of joy as he nodded. I remember. It was snowing heavily that day. You were waiting for me at the dorm to give me a bun, and your face was all red from the cold. I straightened the umbrella, covering his shoulder. You told me then, to love yourself first, then love others. I then lowered my head and took out another umbrella from my own bag. If you want me to forget all this and get back together with you, that would just be torture for me. You can't unscramble an egg, and you can't mend a broken mirror. So let's both just love ourselves. The light in Leo's eyes slowly dimmed. I'm sorry, and don't come looking for me anymore. I have a lot of things to do, like renovating a house, like getting a puppy, like opening my own studio. I opened my own umbrella and turned to walk away. Ava had just sent me a photo. The small house I had my eye on had a south-facing balcony. The afternoon sun was just right, and even the floor was bathed in a pale golden light. It was perfect. I've had enough of this rain.